There's a good chance that not every student that comes in here is going to end up pursuing this. This isn't for everybody, but there's a lot of people that they get curious about PDR. They've seen somebody else do it, and so they invest in some in-person training. And if that's the case, I would much rather them know, well, I only spent the $3,500. And so I totally respect when other guys say, you need to charge more. I get it. But everything in me says getting into the business needs to be as accessible as possible. And I think if I'm teaching intro, if I'm just introducing you guys to these concepts and getting you going in the right direction, I think $3,500 is fair.
I wanted to come to a place that taught the proper techniques.
But it'll shock you, the more Dent guys you get around, how very few of them take it upon themselves to understand what a dent is, how it moves.
Man,
right?
That's the cool thing, you know, and I'm not obviously not just saying that because I'm on video, but you've been very open with how this whole process works. You know, so I just wasn't sure. Wasn't sure what to expect. Come down here and man, the guy got my money. And boy, am I glad I came with you, man.
All right, we're rolling.
Cool.
The last one for today, but to the next one when you come back, or I come out to visit you. But for now, last Jocko for today. First of all, good job.
Thank you, man.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Welcome to ConfiDENTS podcast. And I cut you off already. What were you going to say?
No, I was just thanking you.
Okay, sweet, man. ConfiDENTS podcast, just a chat to hopefully encourage and bring confidence to other guys that are considering getting into training. That's my mission on this podcast. Cool. Gatekeeping almost tried to keep me out, and so everything I can do now to build the confidence of others, I'm going to continue to do that. And by hearing you guys and your story and your perspective, it does big things. So got a couple questions for you to start off here. We're going to jump right into training questions.
Okay.
So kick things off. What surprised you the most about the learning process during training?
That's a good question. What surprised me the most? Maybe it was a good surprise. I was actually surprised once you like get going on like say aluminum. It's a lot easier than I thought it would be. Like it's not easy. Like I still can't fix, you know, huge things, but when you have someone in your ear that shows you exactly what to do and not to freak out and take your time, you're kind of like, oh man, I can actually do this thing.
So going into this, so you come from being in a body shop,
Right.
being in a dealership,
Right.
You're around other technicians, and you told me about the tech, you know, right
Traditional
now, or
body
guys that you've
repair,
seen
yeah.
in the past. You've probably heard them talk about aluminum or the difficulties of that. So
Oh yeah, they're scared of it.
Getting hands on yourself and just being told a couple of techniques on how to use it.
Right.
It's surprising how in control you can be with aluminum. Really, it's not a big, it's not the big monster.
And don't get me wrong, aluminum is, you know, it can be scary, especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well,
But with the right tools and the right techniques, it was just surprising, you know. That's just one thing off the top of my head.
I would let it discourage me.
Yeah.
So every tech that I happened to be around, or any shop that I was around, so in the first few years of me doing mobile work, the aluminum was the big bad monster.
Dude, when you pulled that aluminum hood out, I was like,
yeah, that's the first thing we push on too. So, and I tell all y'all the reason we push on the aluminum, and I say it in the phone call. I've put it in a couple videos. I like to put you on aluminum, not to be like, hey, this is how tough your career is about to get, you know.
Yeah.
It's not to scare you guys or discourage you. It's to show you, like, aluminum forces are pushes to slow down a little bit. You saw when we transition to steel, steel moves a lot faster, but aluminum forces us to slow our pushes down. Visually, we get to start programming, seeing that metal move. It slows us down.
Right.
But it's slowing down and then being told a couple of techniques, and then you start to see it move. You totally forget that, oh, this isn't difficult.
You forget it's aluminum.
Yeah. It's not difficult.
Exactly.
And go ahead.
And that's what I meant by that.
Yeah.
Like coming in here with the body shop side, techs talking about aluminum, it's hard to fix. You always hear welders say, man, aluminum's hard to weld on. Yeah,
Really?
it kind of freaked me out. But
that's wild. Oh, I could imagine, yeah. And they probably have to use different material to get things to bond.
I guess so.
Yeah. But on our end,
Guys will probably hear this and be like, what are you talking about? Aluminum's easy.
Oh, really?
But,
Welders?
But from my experience.
Oh, from the pushing side? Or
No,
or the
aluminum
welding?
Yeah,
Welding.
welding.
I got a buddy, Jesse, who's a welder. He may say something.
Yeah.
He's always
I'm sure.
posting updates.
Well, I'm sure
through
it's
his
like
journey.
PDR. Once you get used to it, it's nothing.
Yeah, 100%. It's probably just like that. But day one, putting you on it isn't to discourage you. It's to get you to see that, hey, with some right technique, if this is the big bad metal that we're pushing on and I'm moving it, then dude, what a huge confidence boost. And then even more importantly, when we jump over to steel, to see how fast steel moves, it's now I get to teach you the importance of finesse. Like we got to be intentional with where we push, because we can get into trouble really fast if we're not pushing, our precision's not there. So steel does move faster. And then I guess the crutch that I've seen guys have throughout these years is they only want to work on steel because it's an easier metal, and if I'm trying to not allow you guys to learn bad habits from the very beginning, then as I was designing training, I was like, I have to put you on aluminum right away. I got to get you to be confident, see how you can move metal. Then when we do go to steel, it's about respecting finesse and slowing things down.
Right. And
on both of them, we're stressing precision the whole time. Okay, sweet. So aluminum, and we did aluminum yesterday, and you were moving it. So all right. So if you could go back to the first day of training, what advice would you give yourself?
I guess just not to be scared of the panel. Well, actually, it was I think the third day is when I started pushing. I don't know. I came in kind of with an open mind.
That's good.
I wanted to come to a place that taught the proper techniques. And boy, am I glad I came with you, man.
Sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. On the first day, just those things. Maybe just kind of relax, and just trust yourself.
Does it feel like the first day of school? I mean, it is technically first day of school, but I moved around a lot growing up. I went to I want to say 7 or 8 different elementary schools. I moved around a lot, and that feeling, that first day jitter, would be like painful.
I was more excited.
Really?
On the
Sweet.
first day, yeah, I was more
Awesome.
excited to get going.
Awesome.
I've been looking into PDR for a long time. Just really never pulled that trigger, man.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Was there anything? So did I help reinforce any of that?
Absolutely.
Early on, like before you came, did I
Absolutely.
do or say anything?
Well, that first
kinda
phone
helped?
call.
Really?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I told you on the first phone call I was thinking about trying out Marty's training, and
Which would have been killer.
yeah, I couldn't get off.
I still want to go hang out with Marty.
Right. But when you started mentioning just the tensions and what a dent is and how metal's supposed to move, I just kind of knew right away. You were the dude.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That means a lot. I want you guys to get here excited. I don't want you to have any kind of nervousness or anything. So in the phone call, I'm even mindful to try to say some things to get you excited and confident even to show up on day one.
Right.
So that's good, man. Yeah, if people will show up to this ready to work, open mind, and excited, then y'all are gonna you just benefit yourself to be really receptive and effective while we're here. So that's good. How do you feel your understanding of PDR has changed from the first day to now?
The way the metal moves. I thought that I understood how metal moves, but I had no idea, man. I really didn't. I thought it was more of like a popping out, you know what I mean? And you always hear stretched metal, so I knew metal stretched in the way it moves, but I didn't know on the molecular structure of it, you know?
Didn't have a proper image.
Right, and now I have a really good idea.
Sweet.
When I look at a dent of what's causing it and how to fix it. You
awesome.
May not be able to fix it.
Yeah. So the next challenge will be every 95% of your customers that show up to you from now on are going to be like, can't you just pop it out? Or this should just pop it up. Or they call you and they'll message you and, oh, I got a little dent. It'll just pop out.
Right.
So your next challenge will be working on the empathy of how you deliver.
Exactly.
Well, does it just pop out?
Yeah,
you know,
I have a great idea of how to do that now.
Here's a little bit of how it moves, and then, but yeah, even I did too. I was like, you know, before I got into it, my idea was just someone's going to get behind it and just push and pop it out.
Right.
And then you even said yesterday, you know, in the body shop you've heard, or your brother, was it brother? Somebody you said brother had an idea of how metal moves, and even, you know, they even being in a shop for a long time,
for
still
a very
had an
long
idea
time,
that it should just
his whole life
just
basically
push out or pop out, and so
yeah, it's crazy how little the body shop side knows about how metal
metal really moves. Yeah, but it'll shock you the more dent guys you get around. Yeah, how very few of them take it upon themselves to understand what a dent is, to actually identify what this problem is that we're trying to solve, to understand what a dent is, what metal, how it moves, and then apply that or allow that understanding to just level up all of their different skills. So pushing, glue pulling, blending hammer. If you understand what a dent is, it just makes every one of those skills, you know, way better. It's wild.
Yeah, so, exactly. And that's the other thing with glue pulling, man. I thought it was just like, and it would just
pop right out. Yeah.
Not the case.
Yeah, it's not, man. Well, that's good. I have a couple of goals in training, and that is for you to start gathering up and organizing and kind of clearing up that journey that's ahead of you, you know, because not knowing where to start, how to do things, what the tools are, you know, there's a whole bunch that's like unknown. My job in here is to kind of, okay, let's start addressing and identifying each one of these things. But the main one is what a dent is and how metal moves. Because after that, once you know that, everything else falls in line.
Exactly.
You all of a sudden understand what the tools are, how the tools should be used.
Exactly.
You're going to go back into a catalog and see a tool and be like, oh, I know what they use that for now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
now I want that. How I want that tool. So
yeah, you've definitely done a great job at that.
Sweet, man. All right, a little forward thinking. What's the biggest challenge you anticipate as you start your PDR career? And have you started thinking about how you would tackle those?
I think the biggest challenge for me is just getting into that role of becoming a tech.
Well, you're a tech today.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean, as
saying.
far as getting payment and stuff like that.
Operating.
Yeah. How I'm going to tackle it, I'm just going to go home and put in reps, man.
Cool.
Just put in reps until I get confident.
Cool.
And to work on friends, families, cars, and then we'll move that to the next step and maybe start bringing customers in.
Tap into friends and family. Even more importantly, just like you saw me texting Austin, tap into the network. Like, don't hesitate. I don't know everything, but what I do know, I'm happy to share, and that's what That's what the community is
man.
supposed to be. Iron
Networking
sharpens
is-
iron. So,
Yeah.
so if those challenges aren't clearly defined quite yet, but you're aware that there's some of them in front of you, just know that you have this resource. Tap into the Facebook groups. If you don't have a solution, you always have your brothers.
Man,
right?
that's the cool thing, and I'm not obviously not just saying that because I'm on video, but you've been very open with how this whole process works.
Sweet.
And you hear nightmare stories from other people. You go to a place and they take your money and they don't teach you anything, or they have you pushing and they're not telling you exactly what you're doing. I mean, me personally, I've seen forum after forum of that kind of stuff. And you've just been very open with the whole process.
Sweet.
If I have a question, you answer it.
Well,
And I've loved that, man.
well then, we'll be grateful that I got shot at a couple of years ago and lived it. It was that moment that made me be like, okay, I'm gonna operate this way. I'm gonna be a friend like a friend should be. I'm gonna be a trainer like a trainer should be. I'm gonna be a dent tech like a dent tech should be.
Right.
Even if it goes against the grain of how even successful businessmen think I should operate. And I've been catching a lot of flack for a lot of that stuff. But one of the obligations I have to you guys is to tear down that curtain as much as possible. And I also know, so when I was in my first few years, I was desperate to be around other dent guys. And that's why I went out to my buddy's shop out there to work. And
Yeah.
hopefully I was gonna, some of that was gonna rub off on me, and it didn't. And that was frustrating. And so I've just made it a mission to, if I learn something, we have to share it, because I know that you guys are gonna be better than me, and there's gonna be stuff that y'all tap into that I'm gonna wanna learn from later.
Right.
And man, that should be the experience right
Yeah,
there.
it just all goes back to the networking.
Yeah. Yeah. big time.
Networking is so important, man. And it's cool to see that the networking, it's really starting to show in the PDR world now, and that's cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So, to the next guy, what advice would you give to someone who's hesitant about pursuing PDR training based on your own experience?
I guess it would depend on why he's hesitant. If he's hesitant as far as like picking the right trainer, that sort of stuff, or is he hesitant because he's not sure why he wants to do it? But if they want to do PDR, I say pull the trigger.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you have to be trained. Whether it's, obviously anyone would prefer a tech to let you ride along with them for a year and teach you, But if you don't have that opportunity, training is the way to go.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to have it, because this has opened my eyes so much, man.
So we can talk about the training. How about the just getting into the industry at all?
As far as
Are you seeing now? Are you seeing that there is an opportunity to create something for you and your family?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's like, do you feel like pursuing this is going to bring you the joy that you're wanting to have with the thing that you're giving your time to? And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a hands-on kind of guy, So like woodworking has kind of always been my passion. Never really wanted to do that for a living, though. It was kind of always a hobby, and PDR is like that. But you have the opportunity to make good money. It provides lots of freedom for your family, lots of freedom for, if you want to go on vacation, you don't have to have, for me personally.
either
It's like I have to ask someone.
either book
if
it
I
on the
wanna-
calendar or
right.
don't book your calendar.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited about that portion.
That's cool.
The future in this, I'm really excited.
That's cool.
I'm ready to hit the ground running, man.
Then with the training, So somebody's like, okay, there's opportunity in PDR. Now the importance of training. Then they're hesitant on training. Yeah, I'm with you. If I could go back, if I had the money when I could go back,
Right.
I didn't have the money for training, and there wasn't very many options at the beginning. And I was just listening to Bryce. Part of what he was talking about on the Dent Slayer podcast was, I want to say he said 2004 or 5, something like that. He went to Right Look in California at the time. He said that they offered PDR, but it was like a whole, he said he signed up for everything. It was like PDR, window tint, a couple of things that he signed up for. But as he's talking about it, then he says it was only 5 days. He spent like 13 or 14 grand, and that was, in that time, that would have been, that's a lot of money now, but
Right,
back
sure.
then that was
Sure.
a lot of money. And the guys, Matt, the guys, they were like, man, a week, so and they were addressing other skills during that time too. So yeah, man, I don't know where was I going with that. The importance of getting training is, without training, that first chapter, that trial and error chapter, man, it can be painful. And mine
When
was,
you were
mine
talking
was
about the
5 and
price
6
too,
years.
the price barrier.
Yeah. Mine was 5 and 6 years because I couldn't afford it. It took me 5 to 6 years before I finally even confronted myself and started taking things serious. And then price. If you can't afford it, then that's, then I say watch as many YouTube videos as you can, take online training, sign up for everybody's training that's available.
Yeah.
Sign up for whatever training, but if you can get that in-person training, man, it's wild.
That's gonna be your best bet.
Yeah, the speeding up of it, man, it's we can put out all the videos that show what you should be learning as detailed as possible, but when you're in that in-person training and we get to stop and I get to address every push and every tap, man, that just...
It makes all the difference in the world, man.
You're already pushing at the same quality that I was doing at 5 and 6 years in. So if I can get you guys doing that, in just a matter of a few weeks, and then highly encourage you to go and put in reps, then man, y'all are going to be great.
Yeah, you always hear the nightmare stories. Again, going back to this of the training nightmare stories, and I was scared of that. When we had initially talked, and your price point was it was lower than everyone else's, and so I just wasn't sure.
Was there a party?
Wasn't sure what to expect. Come down here and, man, the guy got my money.
I risked.
And I didn't get any training, or I'm worse off. I learned bad habits. Yeah, you're always going to have that, I think. Especially because you're newer at training. So there's not a history book about you.
Yeah, that's tough.
But boy, am I glad I made that decision.
Awesome, man. Well, these videos hopefully will put out like the value behind what we're doing. But I know when I price 2 weeks at $3,500, I know I'm risking being the stereotype of you get what you pay for.
Right.
I know it. I know I set myself up for that. And as you start pushing dents, you're gonna see that with other technicians in the area, and you're gonna probably have that conversation with your customers. Hey, you get what you pay for. This is why I charge what I charge, because I want to provide you a quality, a quality job that I can be proud of.
Yeah, and isn't that crazy that we're talking about $3,500 like it's nothing? That's still a lot of money.
Yeah, it's still a lot of money.
That's
dude.
still a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and this economy has even more opened our eyes to how much $3,500 means. It's a huge investment.
Right.
So it's a weird balance, and so I totally respect when other guys say you need to charge more. I get it.
Yeah.
But everything in me says that getting into the business needs to be as accessible as possible. And I think if I'm teaching intro, if I'm just introducing you guys to these concepts and getting you going in the right direction, I think $3,500 is fair. And then if you want to pay for more, specialized training later, then you drop some big bucks with somebody.
Yeah, because it'd be different, if I was a seasoned tech and I wanted to come
level up.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there's only so much you can learn in 2 weeks, man. You know what I mean? Because at some point, like Steve Harvey says, you got to jump, man.
You do.
And it's scary, but you got to jump.
You got to jump. Regret is the big one that when somebody does take the training, I get excited for them because I know this is at least one area where they won't live with the experiencing of regret.
Right.
Which is another motivator behind me charging only $3,500 for 2 weeks is because when I first started thinking about what do I charge, I thought, okay, well, these guys are 10, 12, and 15. Maybe 7 is fair, maybe 8's fair, and maybe the other trainers will respect the fact that I'm not asking for top dollar because I don't have a long history of training. Maybe they'll respect that, and so I was thinking about that. But then I was also thinking, what about there's a good chance that not every student that comes in here is going to end up pursuing this. This isn't for everybody,
right?
But there's a lot of people that get curious about PDR. It sparks a little interest, it catches their attention. They've seen somebody else do it, or they've had it done, and they are a car person or a hands-on person, and so they want to see, and so they invest in some in-person training. I haven't had that yet. I'm fortunate that I haven't had a student yet where I'm like, this is not for you, but I can imagine odds are over time somebody is going to be like, even if they're a great person, they get it, maybe it's just not going to be for them. And if that's the case, I would much rather them know, well, I only spent the $3,500 rather than $10 or $12 or $15,000, and it's not for them.
Right.
So again, I know from a business standpoint, that's just another one of those things that I've made a decision at the $3,500 point. That's one of my factors, and that's something that successful guys be like, that shouldn't be one of your factors. Hey, they paid for it. Yeah. They're grown men. They paid for it. Let them live with that. But
I get it. I get where they're coming from. I do. But my family and I thank you.
Awesome, man.
You know what I mean? It's been a heck of an experience, man.
It
really has.
That's sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited to go back and put into practice everything we've been practicing here.
I'm at a loss for words.
Super excited, man.
That touched me. Okay.
That's the other thing, man. You're a cool dude too.
Oh shucks. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're a cool, down to earth dude, man. You're easy to get along with. You're easy to talk to. Because you can probably go back and play all of your film. We've talked a lot more about other life things than PDR, So that's cool too.
So I'm not just a social media personality.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
In Vegas, I would meet a lot of that.
Yeah.
Every time I'd met a celebrity, I was like, oh, you're nothing like I've been seeing you for years. Yeah. I can imagine, man. Only a handful of them were like, that was really their personality. Yeah. That they were really cool.
Yeah.
And I'd say probably surprisingly, Brad Garrett was one of the most nicest dudes I ever met.
Huh.
The real tall dude on Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
The big brother. Yeah.
Cool.
He was like, yeah. So it was weird meeting a lot of people and like, oh, you're nothing like you present yourself.
You portray.
To be.
Right.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Through this learning process, this is a good one because I have a feeling what part of your answer may be, but through the 2 weeks, any part of it that there was any kind of difficulty or anything, what motivation do you reach for to keep pushing through?
I'm kind of a guy that, like, if someone else can do it, I can do it, or I should be able to do it eventually. So, like, one of my biggest concerns was finding the tip, and it still is. Like, finding that tip is hard, man, especially on aluminum. But seeing you do it, you know, I'm like, he's just a guy. If I keep going at this, one day I'll be able to do it. So that's been one of my biggest. It's like getting down there, I know what I'm looking at, I know where I should be pressing, but then you see that tooltip come up and you're like, that's not where I wanted it to go. So yeah, that's my biggest thing. And
then even in that, you realize there's a whole nother level of precision that, like, your eyes open to.
You got to be on point, man.
Yeah, like a hair or a freckles difference makes all the difference in the world. So man, I can even take my precision to a whole nother, and it will, like, even just from last year to this year, even my precision just continues to level up. You'll get so precise. Yeah. It's wild, and the precision makes the dent move fast.
Yeah, absolutely. On that crease that we were working on yesterday, like, I was just messing that thing up, and I could see it. I was frustrated because I know what needs to happen, but I couldn't do it. And then seeing you come in behind me, create your crease, and then you're just working it out. I was like, man, cool. That's cool to see.
Yeah, the visual side of the training. I'm a visual learner, so that helps big time.
Big time,
being able to see it.
And it's cool that you do that.
And if I can do PDR, you know, I won't say everybody can do PDR, but there's a good chance you could do PDR if I could do PDR, man. Yeah. If you're just, you get right motivations, right focus, and you're serious about it.
A lot of practice.
Yeah, tons of repetition, man. Works all that. Yeah. And you'll continue to get better and better. Okay, cool. So if somebody has done it, that's wild. I was just telling my daughter that last night. You know, she's like, she's a graduate, Texas Tech, marketing degree, and she's right. You know, a traditional route would be get the next, you know, apply for a good job, secure job, get some experience, take the next step. But I'm like, in marketing, you know, you'd be surprised. There's a big part of marketing that's about your personality, and you got a good personality. So you don't necessarily have to have this, you know, on paper. You could get bold and step out and do some things because somebody else has already done those things. So if they've done it, you can do it.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So it's like this. Like if I can do it, you can do it.
Yep.
And
we're all just human, man.
Yeah, we are. And yeah, man. And then of course, you know, being a family man, then you got the on the morale side, when things start, you know, kicking your pants, it's like, okay, I have people to fight for and fight through this.
Yeah.
To keep pushing. So yes, tell yourself somebody's done it. Then you can do it. Just let's, you know, strap in and put in the work and put the reps, and you'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Speaking of, Kiko just messaged me.
Sweet.
All right. So
forgot. Also, you're a great motivational speaker, man.
Sweet.
That last day of the first week, you really fired me up.
Really?
When I was kind of not frustrated, but I couldn't get my tool up there to get to that thing, and then you showed me how to do it, and then you told me, you know, it's just metal, man. Like it can be done. It's just metal, and that goes along on so many other avenues of life, you know, and that was cool. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's awesome. It is just metal. It's just metal, and if you know what the metal is, you know what happened when that impact happened, dude, it's just metal. Yeah. Let's just put it back. You know, it's really not, you know, once you know who your enemy is and you know what their move is, you know, it becomes easy for you to champion in those situations. So that's all this is, man. It's just metal, and I'm just you know, with everything in me, just hoping I open you guys' eyes up to the fact that it is just metal, man. The biggest challenges in this career is going to be it's going to be you.
Yeah.
You're going to be the biggest challenge. But if you show up every day willing to fight, and some days you get knocked out, but you show up the next day and ready to go again, man, you're going to do good.
Yeah,
It'll be
and
great.
especially being a family man, when you told me, you know, you have your daughters at the house and your wife is at the house, and are you really going to let that metal, you know, get the better of you? And it's like, no, it's either the metal or losing my way of life, you know, and it's just the metal.
Yeah. You show that metal.
Show it's who's boss.
Show it who's boss, man. It is just metal.
Yeah.
Brother, I can't think of a better way to end this. So I'm proud of you, big time. You kicked some butt, man. Moving forward, yes. Take those motivations, go put in those reps. First year is probably going to be the grind. That, you know, that first year, man, for anybody that pursues PDR, that first year is going to be a challenge. And some guys let them get defeated by those discouragements. But somebody has already blazed the trail, and somebody's already done it, so it can be done.
Yeah.
Just fight through it, put in the reps, and yeah, man, you're going to be a great tech, dude.
Appreciate it.
You're well on your way already, dude. And it's an honor to have been a part of this beginning chapter.
No,
So,
we thank you, man.
good job, brother. Proud of you. All right. Thanks, guys.
It was always me versus me. It was never me versus you. Misunderstood. Get up, had to beat those eyes. Got up and I beat those eyes. It's understood. It was always me versus me. It was never me versus you. And now I'm good. Wake up and I do my part. Wake up and I do my job. Just how